Alex has a new project, but he doesn't know where to start. He wants to make changes, and he has a few inclinations, but he's wondering, what's the goal for this build? What's the concept behind it? What's the spirit of this bike? When you're at this stage of a project, it's good practice to gather a lot of ideas. And a good place to see what's possible is Pittsburgh, in an old steel mill. Welcome to Glory Daze. What you're going to see here is the creme de la creme, handpicked for your viewing pleasure. No two bikes here are the same, each inspired by a different muse. What drives their creators? What are their sources of inspiration? Let's look at a few. This bike is built to an exacting standard, perfecting a style known as a digger. A digger is a sub-style of the chopper. It typically has a long raked out front end like a chopper, but a low backbone extending outwards instead of up. Their DNA is somewhere between chopper and drag racer. If you were to Google what a digger is, Arlen Ness is the name that's going to come up over and over. This bike uses a bunch of original Ness parts and a lot of custom work to capture that ideal digger shape, paying genuine homage to the man and a timeless era. It's cohesive. From the parts to the paint, this bike knows what it's about. These two bikes are hard to explain. They're an example of the type that ask questions. They ask, what makes a motorcycle a motorcycle? And by doing so, they take the leap from folk art to fine art. Art bike is a bit of a catch-all since there isn't any one style they fit. At first glance, these two look like typical cafe racers. But the raw material that built these were not just steel and chrome, but musical instruments, sewing machines, farm equipment, and industrial parts. She didn't start with the same building blocks, but she still arrived at motorcycle. And the thing is, these aren't just sculptures. This one's turbocharged, and the other's equipped with nitrous. They might look like they disregard convention, but they've been built by somebody that has a deep knowledge of the subject. Are you going to write it down at the corner store? No, probably not, but you could, and that's kind of the point. I have watched this bike transform over the years. Angelo has had this Sportster for a long time, changing it up over and over to reflect his particular vision of what a chopper should be. He's taken the formula and he's iterated on it, bringing a timeless style into our modern day, and he's made it his own. You look at this bike and you see the history of what came before it, as well as the personality of the guy who's made it. He's using his spirit to iterate. I see what he's done, and I think it's guys like this who push the culture in new directions. just what do these goals? What do these things? What's the concept behind what do these? So what do these guys use to fuel that spark of creation? Continuing tradition, perfection of craft. These are the tenets of folk art. Pursuing craftsmanship requires love and attention and is a lifelong journey. You can see the love and attention and respect for craft in bikes like these. When you iterate on that tradition, you start to mold it differently. When you follow your spirit in a build, it can be challenging and maybe overwhelming, but what you end up with is deeply personal and one of a kind. A show like Glory Daze expands your bounds of what you know is possible. They are different expressions made by different people, each of whom were driven to create.
That's epic right there.
What you thinking?
All right. I think we should